And so once you have died to whatever it is that you've made your mind up on, then you got to commit to it. And that means you're going all in on it. Living by the code of truth, you're going in all in on that 100%, not 3/4, whatever it is. You are committed to doing exactly what it is that you said that you're going to do.
This is the Leo Climaco podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Leo Climaco podcast. Today's guest is a Christian-based faith coach, Terry Williams. What's up, my man?
Good to see you, Leo.
I am so happy to have you here.
Man, you have no idea how happy I am to be here, just to be with you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for having me. We've been on a journey together for a couple of weeks.
Yes, we have.
I joined your incredible Bible study group.
Thank you.
I got to tell you, Bible study is something I never in a million years thought that I would ever be doing in my... When I told my mother that I am part of a Bible study, she almost cried. It was literally one of her dreams that I connect with God and Jesus and learn about the scripture.
Amen.
And she's been trying her entire life. I'm that kid that fought her to do a confirmation. I didn't want to do it. It was too much BS for me. I had to go to Sunday school. I had to go to church after school. It was this whole process that I was young. I was 12, 13, didn't quite believe, didn't quite understand, didn't quite have all the knowledge based around it. But I am so happy that I'm in your group, that I've met you, and that you're here today.
Leo, thank you for that, and I really appreciate it. And first of all, tell your mom you're here. You've arrived now, which is great. No, but it's good to have you on the group, in the group as well too, because you bring different perspectives to the group, and that's one of the main things about the groups for us is that we're there to hold space for each other. And as you know, we have men from West Coast, East Coast, down south, up north, internationally as well.
Incredible.
Too. Yeah, and it's just awesome just to be able to bring men together like this and just hold space for one another and be able to allow you to cry if you need to cry without any judgment. Allow you to be able to express your point of view without any judgment and just be able to just give honor and praise when that time is there.
Yes.
But more than anything else, just making sure we're living by the code of truth as well. So
I love that.
So thank you for being there with us and for all you do. And I'm so happy for you for the transformation that I've seen you've made in the group since you've been there, and your participation. It's just been absolutely wonderful of having you there. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for that. And I agree with you. I have also seen a drastic transformation in myself, in my faith, in my belief, in my submission to the word.
Amen. Amen.
And it's so incredible. And I think what you're doing is so necessary. I think men, especially today, right? We live in a very competitive, very combative world where men put so much pressure on themselves.
They do. We do.
To achieve, to be something, to succeed, to be a leader, to be a father, to be a husband. And we don't have that space to let go. And be vulnerable. Be able to share. I feel like most men feel that they can't have that talk with their wives.
That's very true.
Because then, one, it could be used against them.
Exactly.
And two, they'll feel less than.
Exactly.
You know? So a space for men to be able to come and be vulnerable and share is extremely important in 2025.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head on that, Leo, and that's part of one of the main reasons why I started this group for us, just to do exactly that. Because what I've learned and experienced over the many years that I've been, in my still young age here, I say, is that we fall, prey to that. We fall into that trap of not being able to really express our real raw feelings as to what we are feeling, as to what we think, because of the things that we've been taught from way back in the day. I got to be strong. I am man. I can't cry. I can't show my feminine side, or I can't allow myself to say I don't know, or I need help, or anything like that. And for that, it has put us in positions to where we've just really dug ourselves a deep, deep hole that sometimes we just cannot get out. And when we do that, that then puts us in a place to where, gosh, when I do decide to make my mind up, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Don't be sorry.
I'm so sorry about that. When we do
not-
decide to make our minds up.
It's not live, so we're good.
Oh, okay. So let me just turn it off real
for it.
quick anyway. Yeah. I'm losing that thought, man.
Happens more times than you.
Really.
Yeah.
I don't know how to turn my phone off. How do you turn this thing off? I'm so brand new at this. There we go. Shut power down. Okay. So, when we get into those, ways, is that it's so hard for us to dig ourselves out of this hole that we really don't know what to do. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse. So
Yeah.
it's like being inside of a cyclone, and it just continues to roll and roll and roll. And as that cyclone's moving around, it picks up more stuff. It picks up more stuff, and we go deeper and deeper and deeper to where we just don't have that release. And then we do something that we really didn't want to do because we find something that that maybe looks like that, and we don't think rational at that point as
Right.
well. And then we put ourselves even in a worse position. Then there's the arguments at home. Then there's the disconnect with the family. There's the disconnect with the kids. Then there's the disconnect with church. Then most of all, the main place where we disconnect from the Lord at that point. We lose focus and lose sight because we just don't know where we're at. And so having this group here really allows us to be able to come and be vulnerable, like you said, be able to be our true, authentic selves.
Yes.
Be able to have a place, say, hey, you know what, look, I've done wrong. I need your help, brothers. I need you guys to pray for me. I need somebody just to call me and just check on me. I need somebody just to be able to, I can pick up the phone or have a text that I know I'm going to get a response back
Yes.
from them. And they are genuinely concerned about me. And that's one of the main bases of the group, of the Freedom to Reign that, we created here. That is, I just love it. Every week that we get on that call, I just get so overjoyed with how I see you all in the group just open your hearts to one another. And you guys have never physically met.
Yeah.
You've only met through Zoom.
Yeah.
Through a Zoom call.
With the exception of now being your
The
first time
exception-
we meet. Yeah.
Yeah, to where we've created relationships and have shared things on these calls, especially yourself as well
Yes.
too. It's like, whoa, okay, but thank you for being
Super
vulnerable.
private, super personal.
Personal stuff, some
Yeah.
deep, deep personal
Yes.
stuff that it just amazes me how the men are coming together and doing that. And that's what we have to get to.
Yes.
And this is such a great outlet for us to be able to do this. And I just enjoy doing it. And in the mornings when I get up on those Wednesday mornings, I think about things throughout the week, but God is working through me so hard just to be able to touch you men, bring me the right things at the right time, just to present it to the group and just say, run with it, man.
Yes.
Give your opinions and your thoughts. And it's just been absolutely wonderful.
As you were talking, Dorian came to mind.
Yes.
Shout out to Dorian.
Yeah.
And his growth has been incredible.
Holy moly, yes.
The Lord is working on him.
Holy moly. That Dorian has transformed so much in this group. And I remember when he first came, he was a little firecracker and he was a little bit uncertain. But as he continued to come and just see how true, authentic everyone was
Yes.
and is and continue to be that way, he's just opened up his heart. And I'm just so happy for him how he's connected back with his wife and his kids as well. And he's being his true, authentic self
Yes.
through this whole process. And it's just blowing his mind as to how much God is blessing him right now. And he just cannot comprehend, like, how is this happening? When you do right things happen for you,
Yes.
So even though when you plant seeds, the things that we do, we call them planting seeds, they're going to come to harvest, whether they're good or bad. But when you start planting good seeds the whole entire time, good things are going to start happening to you.
Correct.
Maybe not at the time that you're wanting it to, but they will come to harvest at the right time for you.
What I love about this group also is that a lot of times, right, where we're so used to bad things happening that when good things happen, we don't believe it.
Yeah.
Or we don't think that we're worthy of it or
Yeah.
deserving of
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
And the group is there to remind you, no, you're worthy. You
Totally.
deserve this.
Totally,
Like,
yeah.
you know, God is blessing you because you deserve this.
Totally. Yeah. God didn't put us here to not enjoy, to not have, to suffer or anything. He didn't put us here
Right.
to do that.
No.
You know, he put us here to love, cherish, help one another out
Yes.
in whatever it is, and be fruitful, be productive, and go out and make more, And the thing is that we just got to get out of our mindsets of holding on to the past. I know we hear this all the time. Let go of the past. This is a new year. I'm coming into I'm coming into this new year, and I'm not gonna be looking behind me. But you know what? As soon as you say that, the first thing people do is this: they turn around and look behind them. There's a reason why. The rear view mirror is only this small. Because you know what? There's nothing really back there for you to look at, and your windshield is so big because you're looking going forward, and that's what you need to look at. That's where we as men stop holding on and regretting for the mistakes that you've made. Because usually 9 times out of 10, what I've learned from this is that men, when they are making a decision, they're making the decision on the knowledge that they have at that particular time. After they've made it, and if they've gone on in life, they go, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. Well, yeah, you didn't have the knowledge that you have right now back then.
Right.
Yeah, you would have made a different decision had you had that knowledge. Well, had I had that knowledge, maybe, or if I had a group of men that I could have reached out to, or know that there's a mentor or a brother that I could say, hey, I'm going through this. What can you tell me? Or group, how can you help me this? Anybody got any insights on this? And that's where the Freedom to Reign group comes into hand, to where men can reach out, man, I'm just going through this. But you got to be true, authentic with yourself as to what's really happening at that time. Because any type of lying, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. You got to be authentic about everything that you do.
What's the best way for someone to start being authentic and step into their truth?
It's being honest with yourself. 100% being honest. There is no 9/10 or 8 7/8 or 4/5 or whatever it is. You got to be 100 billion trillion % honest with yourself, honest to God. And I have this motto that I say is living by the code of truth. And living by the code of truth, just that word truth alone by itself, that 5-letter word is such a big word for
It's
people
so powerful.
to be able to grasp and really live it. You can't tell quarter of the truth, half the truth, 3/4 of the truth. It's 100%
The
of the
whole
truth,
truth,
and
nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Exactly. And once you really understand that and you really meditate on that and see what that says to you, you know what? There's no such thing as a white lie anymore. There's no such thing as a little lie anymore. There's no such thing as cheating. There's no such thing as stealing. There's no such thing of not going in all the way.
Right.
I have a thing which I call it's just the 4 C's. And it's clarity, commitment, consistency, and courage. You got to be completely clear about what it is that you're going to do. Because when you're going to tell the truth, you got to be clear as to what is that really going to require of me. That means that I got to die to some of the things that I was doing from before.
And be reborn.
And when I say die, I don't mean physical die. That means that you got to give up. Because when something's dead, it no longer has life anymore in order for it to continue on in life.
Yep. Burn that bridge, burn that boat.
Leave it behind, man. And so once you have died to whatever it is that you've made your mind up on, then you got to commit to it. And that means you're going all in on it. Living by the code of truth, you're going in all in on that 100%, not 3/4, whatever it is. You are committed to doing exactly what it is that you said that you're going to do. And then you have to stay consistent on it, because life still goes on. You're still going to have temptations. All these things are still going to come about. You still got to live by the code of truth, regardless if it's good for you or bad for you. And then the last part is just the courage, because you're going to have so many things that's going to come at you to try to derail you. Oh, I don't feel like doing it this day. Or, wife or spouse is doing this, or kids are doing this, job is doing this. Nobody listens to me. God's left me, which never happens. We leave God. God never leaves us. Or all these different things that happen. No, you just got to stay consistent to the program and just live by the code of truth and being 100% in, because when you're in, it becomes just that much easier. You got to start working out that muscle.
Yes.
Instead, just like how we work out our physical body, our body muscles, you got to work out that spiritual muscle inside of you and being truthful and honest about everything that you do. Now, I will say this, none of us are going to be perfect by doing it.
Right.
And by the grace of God, thank you that we have the opportunity to ask for forgiveness and correct. But you don't do a 360, you do a 180 and walk away from whatever it was that you were doing and move on in life. And don't be so doggone hard on yourself. You make mistakes, you learn from it and move from it. That's the beauty of making a mistake.
I find it very interesting, because I was on that same path once, how it's so hard to stay committed to what's true and to what's good.
Yep.
Like you said, there are so many things tempting you.
Yep.
And I think the hardest part about it is that you don't reap the rewards right away by being truthful and staying committed. It's a journey.
It's a process, yeah.
The longer you stay on the journey, the clearer the path gets,
Yep.
the more things happen to you.
True that.
But it's not that instant gratification that we're used to nowadays,
So true on that.
right? So a lot of men have a difficulty staying committed, staying disciplined to waiting for that, what's the word? For that delayed gratification, right? It's a lot easier to go smoke a joint or to go cheat or to go seek external pleasures and get that drink or go gamble, right?
whatever
It's
it may
much
be.
easier to get that quick hit, that quick fix
Yep.
that's gonna make you feel good right now than you staying on the path and being committed and seeing what's for you at the end of the tunnel.
So true. That, man, you couldn't have said that any better. And that's just the thing. It's just unfortunate that, as to what you're saying, is that in today's world, it's the instant gratification. If, when it's just like when you're on your phone, if something doesn't respond even before the snap of my finger, oh, this thing is so slow. Back in the day, if something took 2 minutes, oh, that was fast.
Remember dial-up?
Yeah, right. All those type of things like that. But, we really need to just stop and slow down. Enjoy the process.
Smell the roses.
Smell the roses. One thing I always tell people to do is that just stop and just listen to the wind. Now, when you listen to the wind, there's some action that you have to do. One is you got to stop moving.
Yes.
2, you have to be still. And 3, you just got to just let things happen.
You gotta be in the now.
It's all about being in the now. my
Yeah.
friend. It's all about being in the now. And, I tell people that I said, listen to the wind. They look at me like, you can't hear the wind. That's my whole point, because you're moving. You need to stop. Peace, be still, the Bible tells us at time as well, too. Slow down and just be in the present right now. Because when you're in the present, you see and hear and feel so many new things. What the problem that I'm seeing, what I've learned to see people do, I call it, is future tripping. Meaning that you're thinking so far way down the line about what could be, what can't be, that has never even happened. And you
Right.
don't know it's not going to happen. But instead, you miss everything that's right there in front of you.
Yes.
And you miss that opportunity that's going to propel you on to go do the thing that you really want to do,
Right.
or how you need to go by of doing it. Peace, be still, my friend.
This reminds me of that dad, right? That is playing with his kids, but his mind is on business,
Totally. Not 100% there.
right? And he's not present. He's not focused and enjoying that moment of playing with his kids, right? Like, there needs to be that separation, right?
Yeah.
That future worrying needs to stop. That worry tree.
Yep.
Gotta stop planting that worry tree.
Yep.
and be able to live in the present, in the now. Okay. How can we, I feel like we live in a time where people are waking up.
Okay.
I feel like more people than not are really in tuned. They may not be religious, but they're in tune with God. I feel like a lot more people today are connected with God than they've ever been before. But at the same time, there's a lot more distractions. There's a lot more things keeping us away from God. Mm-hmm. What would you say would be the best way to help people navigate this path better? How can people be in the chaos, but find an exit to be able to be present and be in the now and be more with God?
That's a very good question. And, I say this is that people have to make their minds up that they want to put God first in their life. And soon as they learn how to do that, then they will experience when there's chaos or when that tornado, so-called, is there, that mental tornado, that mental tsunami, that mental battle of all these different things starting to happen. You know what? It's just like, so it's like you can be in that whole whirlwind, but be in the eye of it to where there's calm in the middle of that eye of that whirlwind. Even though all this craziness is going on around you, you still have peace and calm because you have a foundation that is based on a solid rock, which is God. Because when you have God in the forefront of everything that you do, you can get through anything that there is. There is nothing that you will not be able to accomplish, not be able to handle, not be able to do, because you're standing on the foundation that God's going to see you through. It may not be the way that you want it. It may not feel good at times, because the thing is that you're going through a season or you're going through a storm for something that you need to learn.
Right.
And you're learning this not so much only for yourself, but because there's going to be someone else down the line that you're going to be able to help out in once they're in it as well too. You'll be able to share something with somebody to help them as well. So I tell people all the time when it says, well, how do I do this? Well, you got to make it, you got to commit. And I say commit because my mentor, it gets me choked up a little bit. Just even think about this, that my mentor was my uncle, and I loved him to death. He was like a father to me. And he used to always tell me and my cousins and the other brothers in the church, you got to commit, you got to commit, you got to commit. He said, Dave, what are you talking about? You got to commit. And I didn't understand what he was really saying, that word commit. I am committed, I am committed. No, I wasn't committed. I was just talking the words. I wasn't mentally committed to serving the Lord and allow his will be done instead of mine. Because what we find is that when we start getting in these situations, there's a common word that's being used all the time is I this, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. There's nowhere in that phrase to where it says God, where you're asking God, help me. God, lead me. God, take this away from me and use me however you need to use me in this situation. God, allow me to be the vessel that you need me to be at this time. And once you start getting into putting God first and putting God into everything that you do, all this other outside rhetoric and all these other challenges and these things that come, they will hit, but they will not stick. They will try to hit, knock you off track, but you'll jump right back on track because you have God that's there, that's pushing you through whatever it is that you're doing.
As you're talking, I'm trying to think of why is it so difficult for so many men to make this choice and submit? And it came to me that as men, we have to be the leaders. Mm-hmm. We have to be the providers. Mm-hmm. So the idea that we now have to turn around and submit to something else is very hard, scary, and a bit unnatural for men, especially in this competitive society that we live in, where a lot of men almost feel like God. They have a God complex, right? We have tons of narcissists out there who think that they're God and only them can solve the problem.
Yeah, they do think that, but we know, well, I'll put it like this. I'm not going to put we into it. I'll say, I know that that's not true.
Right.
That's not true. And pray for those individuals that someday that they'll be able to open their eyes and say, it's not them. Because the thing is, we know is that whatever we do and accomplish, we didn't do by ourselves.
No.
You know what? And it did not probably come from another human being, but I do know where it does come from for me in my truth and from my belief. I know it comes from God Almighty. And he brings in the things that I need in order for me to move forward. He brought you into my life. He brought you
Right back at you.
Yeah. You know, he brought you into the group, you know, and he brought all the men that's in the group right now together and how we feed off of one another. But our center and our focus is everything about God, putting him first and saying, what is his will, not my will, but his will to be done in our life. And when that happens and we get into that mindset, men thinking that they are like God or whatever they may feel, these narcissists or whatever it is, that goes away. That is no longer part of them anymore. And I always just say that's just a devil's workshop right there.
Tempting you.
All that's all he's doing. Because here's the thing too, is that the devil is mostly at work is when you are not serving him. When you have turned your eyes around and you're now trying to serve God, that's when he gets busy.
Right.
Because when you're serving God, he no longer has you. But when you're doing the devil's work, you don't even hear from him.
It's like when you leave T-Mobile for AT&T and AT&T calls, no, we'll give you 2 free months. Come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, however that is there. Yep, you got it right. You got that right.
Oh, man. Terry, I want to go a bit into your past.
Let's do.
I want you to talk a little bit. What has been one of the most challenging things for you in your life that you overcame, that you can look back today and say, wow, that was really challenging, but that made me who I am today?
Good question. So when I was growing up as a young boy in Altus, Oklahoma,
Wow.
that's where I was born at. And I lived there for the first 10 years of my life, lived with my grandmother as well, too. Actually, there's a couple things as I go along with this. And when I was 10 years old, my mom packed up my brother and we moved to Seattle, Washington. So you got an old country hick, boy that was from Altus, Oklahoma, moving up to the PNW, Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
The two environments are like
Completely different.
oil and water.
Yeah.
As to how much difference.
2 different countries.
That's exactly what it felt.
Yeah.
2 different worlds, countries, everything that you can think of. It was just a total.
The U.S. is so crazy. There's like 50 different countries inside.
Pretty much it seems like, And, so, in that time, I experienced some things when I was a little boy there in Oklahoma that caused me to have a stuttering problem. I had such a bad stuttering problem, Leo, to where
Wow.
I couldn't even pick up a phone and say hello. It was like, and that would go on for minutes before I can just say hello.
Wow.
My name is Terry. And by the time I finally get that, I'm so out of breath at that point.
Out of energy.
Oh my goodness gracious. It was just crazy. So I go through elementary school like this.
Real quick, how do you think that started?
Oh, you got to make me cry now. All right. Well, as I went through the process, I learned how that started is because of when I was a little boy. Wait, I'll never forget this. I was sitting in the living room with my mom, and she was. We stayed in this. We were at the time we were in this like a single wide, like I said, like home. So you come through. There's the living room, then there's the kitchen, then there's bathroom, then bedrooms. You know, it's all a single line. I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, and she's right there in the kitchen cooking something on the stove, and I'm just doing my own little thing, just having a good old time. My dad was in the war, and he had come home from the war. He had PTSD bad. Back then, they didn't know what PTSD was.
Which war?
This was back in Vietnam War. I
Vietnam.
believe. Yeah. And he had no idea. I mean, back then, the U.S. had no idea what PTSD
No,
is.
we
And
still don't.
Yeah, and
fully.
And these men were coming home, and they were just so mentally damaged. So they're drinking, they're doing all these kinds of.
They're trying to
crazy
cope.
things. That's exactly what it was, and nobody knew what it was. And my dad had that. I know he did at the time. So I'm probably about at this time probably about 5, 6 years old. I'm guessing somewhere around now. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I'm just sitting there watching TV. Next thing you know, boom, the door kicks open. My father walks by me, and my mom is on the stove cooking, and he's all up in her face, whatever it is, and he just grabs her, throws her towards the front door. She kind of falls and stumbles. He picks her up, gets her outside. He closes the door. I'm saying to myself, that just doesn't seem right. Something's wrong there. And from that, I get up and I look outside the door. Outside in our front yard, there was a rock that's probably about that far off the ground, maybe about this big around. And my dad at that time had thrown my mom down on the ground and had her head on the rock, and he's just hitting her. Each time he hit her, I felt the vibration from that ground just come up into my body.
Wow.
And then his buddy gets out of the car, pulls him off. And my mom is so strong. She gets up, shakes it off, does her hair, and comes back in the house. Tells me to sit down, watch TV, and then she goes back to cooking again. And I just remember watching TV at that point and going like, what just happened?
Wow.
And
I'm so sorry you went through that.
And so the next morning we get up. This is a Saturday night. Next morning we go to church. He's sitting there next to her, and she kind of scratches her head. She goes, my head is kind of sore from all whatever it is. And he just kind of smiles about it. And I remember the anger that came over me at that point. That was one incident. And I know that mentally affected me.
100%.
Didn't know how to deal with that. Second thing was that I was a little boy, and my mom and my aunt would take me to the local swimming pool there in Altus as well, too. I didn't know how to swim, but I just jump into the water, jumping around. Then sometimes I walk my way down the side of the pool. In the pool, there was a metal iron rod that separated the deep end from the shallow end. And I would hold on, put my legs over the deep end, kicking like I'm, swimming, and then go back down, whatever it is. So this one time I did that, and my mom and aunt were probably about 15, 20 feet away from here. So sitting on the bench, just sitting there watching me, doing what I was doing. And I'm doing it this time, and I'm clenched on, and I start feeling my hands start to slip. And I'm yelling for my mom, and everything goes into slow motion at this point. And I just see it. I'm just yelling, Mom. She's just looking at me, smiling, thinking that I'm playing. And I'm calling her to come get me. And right above me is the lifeguard here. And as I'm just literally just last rung of my fingers about to go away into the water, the lifeguard jumps down, gets me, picks me back up, and I walk back out. And I never went back in the water again after that.
Really?
Scared the mess out of me, man. Scared the mess out of me.
Wow. Thank
Yeah.
God for that lifeguard.
At the right place at the right time, my friend.
Yes.
And then I know the last thing was that when I was in Oklahoma as well, too, as a little boy, is that I grew up, my grandmother was the one that raised me from 0 to probably about 1 to 10 years old. So that was like my mom. I mean, even when I moved to Seattle, I still called her, talked to her all the time, go back home, visit her all the time, stuff like that. I was about, how old was I? My early 20s, she passed away. I never felt hurt like that ever in my life. It literally felt as if somebody had reached into my heart, through my skin, through my pec muscles, and just literally just ripped out 3/4 of my heart, and my heart's just sitting there pulsating, beating, and just blood coming out, but it wasn't going in because it just hurt that bad.
Wow.
And that devastated me so bad to where I didn't know what to even do. I know I was depressed. I know I had anger. I know I had all these different
Yeah.
things. Didn't know how to even handle that stuff, and things like that. So as I had kids and stuff like that, I just
What a journey.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Please.
was going to go someplace else with that, but yeah. So those are the things I know for a fact that caused me to have that mental dysfunction or disconnect or wire until I got into my older ages. I had to really connect with myself and said, because the thing is, I thought it was going to be an inherited thing. I did not want my kids to, because growing up through school, I got made fun of. This and that teacher asked you to read. I'm going to get called out of class because you got to go reading specialists and stuff like that and what have you. It was just hard. It was just very, very hard. And I said,
What a challenge.
Yeah, this is one thing I do not want my kids to grow up with, having to deal with that, because I know what I want. I know what I went through, and I wasn't going to do that. So I did a lot of research on stuttering. What is stuttering? Why does this happen? And a lot of it says, okay, your muscles, your tongue, this and that, slow down, breathing, and blah, 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 blah. But the things that I did not find is that, what did it have to do here? And, mentally. And I clued into this myself, is that what is causing me to do this? And why do I feel this way? And by the grace of God, I clued into there were some mental issues that I needed to deal with. As soon as I dealt with those mental issues, my stuttering pretty much went away. I still do it every now and then when I get tired.
sure.
When I get tired
For
and
sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of.
But you speak so clearly.
Well, that's from a lot of practice and me really committing and focusing in what it is that I wanted. Because once I committed to it, I prayed hard about, ask God, bless me with better speech. And from all of that I went through with that, He's given me this tool. He's allowed me to be able to do this, allowed me to be able to speak. And I ask Him and give thanks for it every day. Thank you for allowing me to have this gift to be able to talk. But now I can go to help others do the same exact thing. I study this. I study communications. How you go by talking with people. How do you communicate? Your inflections up and down. Be able to control my neck, my tongue, my throat, and all those things as well.
How old were you when you finally stopped the stuttering, when you finally had full control over it?
I can't say that I have full control over it still.
I've heard you speak many, many times. I feel like you have at least 95% control over it.
I say I have good command on it right now.
Okay.
I'll say that, but yeah, you're probably right. But I was into my late 20s, say early 30s. But as I was going through my 20s, it was getting better because that's when I started to learn what is going on here.
So at least you were to 2021, you were stuttering pretty badly.
2021, I was stuttering, yes, but not as bad as I was as a kid, but I still
Got
had
it.
to stutter. But it was so doggone hard, though, just when I was in a professional setting,
I could
in a
imagine.
meeting. It's like when you're going to go meet somebody, hi, I'm Terry Williams. That's, it'll come out really quick there. I learned something, to be able to get past it, but it wasn't the actual fix
I understand.
until later on.
You put a Band-Aid on it for a little bit.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
What happened to your dad?
My father passed away at 48 years old.
Wow, very young.
With a stroke, and so, but he had gotten help for his PTSD, and he had told another family and stuff like that, and he became a godly man after a while
Really?
as well too. Yeah. So, but he and I never really had.
A relationship?
No, not at all. I had so much anger in me when I was a kid. My mom, he would call when we were in Seattle after we left, and my mom said, "Here, your dad want to talk to you. I just get the phone, just hang it up."
Really?
Oh, I wouldn't give him the time of day. Then when we were younger, I would go back to Oklahoma and visit. It's like, yeah, whatever, because I was just angry. I didn't know why. I didn't know I didn't know how to have that conversation. I didn't know what was going on, but all I know is that you hurt my mom, more than anything else.
Any regrets there?
The only regret that I have, I had at one point in time, and I had to get over that as well too, is that when my father passed, my brother and I were in Seattle, and before that, I was going to go back to Oklahoma and say, you and I need to talk, man to man now. I need to get this off my chest. I did not appreciate you doing this, and I'm mad at you for this, and blah, 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 and all these different things.
And I'm guessing at that point, you're already probably in your 30s.
I was in my late 20s, probably coming into my 30s, yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And because I was going to go make right with him, because I know I need to make right with him. And at that time, he had had a stroke. And we had flown to Oklahoma City to get to Altus. It's a 2-hour drive away. And we were about 45 minutes away. My uncle gets the call that we were in the car with and said they just pronounced him dead. So I was 45 minutes late. Prior to that, a couple weeks, I kept saying, okay, I'm going to go, and I never went. At that time, I regretted I didn't get to go earlier. I didn't go earlier, but I finally got over it. So I just prayed. God says, you know what, this is what it was, and I'm not going to beat myself up over it now.
Right.
I can just let young men know that I come in contact. If you have this with your parents or whomever it is, voice your stuff. Voice your feelings.
And the way I see it is that, like, really wasn't your responsibility. Like, you're the son. Like, he should have came after you.
He
Especially after becoming a godly man.
Sure, true that.
You know what I mean?
He could have, but that's not for me to say.
For sure,
yeah,
for sure,
yay or nay on that. But
for sure,
yeah. But that that would be probably the only that was the only regret I had at that time was that.
I want to connect something.
Sure.
You were telling me once about your son.
Which one?
The youngest one, and how he lives with you, and you take care of him.
Yeah.
And now knowing this story about your dad, I think it just makes perfect sense why he's your son.
Okay.
I think growing up like that, the way that you did, probably made you be an incredible father.
Yeah.
It made you have the level of humility, the level of care that wasn't provided for you from your father. And I think it's so interesting how life works, how God will present certain scenarios in our lives, right? So I'll give you this scenario to teach you this lesson to get you ready for 20 years from now for that lesson.
True.
You know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
And when you're in it, you can't really see what's going on. But 20, 30 years later, when you zoom out and you can see the whole compilation of your story or anyone's story and how it's come together, you can go, oh, okay, I see that. I can understand why that happened or that occurred and whatnot. How do you feel about your situation? Do you feel that it was inevitable, it was serendipity, that your life went the way that it did because of the lessons that you learned?
Well,
do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And I would say, yes, that had some to do with that, but also I think a lot of it came from my grandmother and my mother, just as to the type of people that they are, as to how they love, care, take care of things, take care of people, just have just that give their shirt off your back, give you the last penny, take care of you, supply, just that giver.
Yes.
I'm a giver. That's just been my nature. I'm a lover, I'm a giver. That's just my normal nature. But I learned that.
That's a great nature.
Yeah, love it. But I learned
Much better
that,
than being a taker.
yeah, I learned that from my mom, from my grandmother as well too. My mom raised me and my brother by herself, and she gave us everything that she had and went without many of times, just so my brother and I could have.
Incredible.
And it's that taught me is that you do whatever you got to do for your family.
Yes.
And for me and my youngest boy, that caretaker for at this point, is that whatever I got to do to make his life, or even all my kids' life, even his two brothers, is that my thing for them is that I create a safe haven for them to always come home to, no matter how old they are. And
that's incredible.
We talk about that even right now. As a matter of fact, my oldest boy, who texts me happy birthday here just not too long ago, he goes, "Thank you for being a light and creating a place to know where home is always at." It just warmed my heart just to see him, just to read that from him, because
that's beautiful.
The thing is that I always wanted to create a safe haven for them to know, if you just need to go unplug from your home because it's just crazy, and you just need to know that you can come home, or if something happens to where you need to come home, you can come home, but you're not staying though. You can come home though, and just unplug and then go back and do it again.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Likewise to you as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes.
We were 5 days apart.
Yeah. Yep.
Incredible.
Yep. Aquarians.
I love being Aquarius.
Oh yeah. Yep.
We are outside the box thinkers. We are curious. We are independent. We are leaders. I just love it.
Yeah.
I've connected really well with every Aquarius that I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good.
Yeah. Doesn't matter the generation. I don't think it really matters.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dive in to your coaching career.
Sure.
Let's dive into that. What is your mission? What is your goal? Where, if you could speak to your avatar, who is that avatar? And what is the process, the progression, the growth, the evolution that you are inviting them to go through?
Yeah. I have a couple of them, I'm going to say.
Please, yeah.
One of them is for young men, I'm going to call them, from like age of probably about 22 to 35. Of just having somebody there to be able to help them find their way, help them to be able to put their stick in the sand and understand who they are, what they need to do, and be able to gain clarity about what life is and where they're going to go.
Be the wise man for that hunter.
Exactly. Be the wise man for that hunter. Because right now, they're hunters. Those individuals are just trying to figure out Where do I go? Where am I
Yeah.
going to get that next meal? How am I going to make this happen? How,
Yeah.
what's up, what's down? Because I remember when I was growing up, I didn't have that example. I didn't have that father or that father figure. I had men in my church that acted as fathers for me, but they weren't there to say, hey, when, a man needs to be this, a man should do this, a man should take care of this. You need to make sure you got life insurance and all these different things set in place for when you do have a young family. If anything does happen to you, they're taken care of. The house is paid off.
Right.
The car is paid off. The kids' schooling is all taken care of. So
How to go through life.
just go through life.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I remember growing up, he said, since my mom raised my brother and I, is that I had to use other friends' fathers when it was Father's Day to go do things. When it was, you go into sporting events, hey, hey Chris, or hey Tom, or hey somebody, can I use your father? Or yeah, I'm with these guys. I didn't have that father on the sideline. Yay, go. I had my uncle there who was my uncle, my mentor and stuff, but that was not my father.
He's your mom's brother?
It's my mom's sister's husband.
Got it.
Yeah, as to how that was.
So it's not even blood. That's even more awesome.
Yeah.
That he took the time to be there for you.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So, I'm saying to myself, I want to be able to show these hunters how to hunt, these young men how to find their way, them to gain that clarity about what is they want to do, commit to it, stay consistent to the game plan, and then have the courage to be able to be resilient through the challenges that are going to come up for. Because if I can show them that, that's going to make them better. In turn, that's going to make their families better as well too. And then the men from the 36 to probably like 55 or 60, let's go rediscover ourselves, because what I found there is that from all that time of things that we've been doing, we have regrets. We've made these bad decisions. We've become sedated. And when I say sedated, it's not so much of being, well, it could be drugged or whatever it is, but I'm saying sedated because we become yes men. Yes, honey, sure, I don't care, whatever you guys want. But we're not paying attention to self now. And you lose yourself at that point. And
That's so true.
all we're doing at that point is just digging ourselves a deep hole. Until that day when you said enough's enough and you're ready to make a change, by that time you've dug a hole so deep. When you try to call out your spouse, call out your children, call out the people that you're working with, they're going to look at you like, man, who are you? Get out of my face.
Right.
And by that time, you know what? You're not going to have the courage to be able to stand strong on your own 2 feet. Says that was the old me, but this is the new me. I have done self-improvement at this point. I'm learning to listen to, I'm learning to deal with the real facts, raw feelings, to be able to have relevant focus, then to see what my fruit is going to be from all the work that I'm doing at that point. And helping these men to rediscover themselves, to help them to stand on their own 2 feet, or I've heard an individual say to, you helped me to get my man card back again, and I'm going, absolutely great. I'm just helping you to discover who you really are, who God intended for you to be. Those are my 2 avatars that I'm really looking at. And it's just about uplifting, helping these men to become real men, become the men that God wants them to be.
You know what I love so much about everything that you just said?
What's that?
A few things. One, I love how it's very Warrior Gary J. White based. Okay? That's one thing that I love. If you don't know Gary J. White and Warrior, go do your research. What I love even more is that I've been to Garrett's headquarters in California. Mm-hmm. When I was there, I was the darkest person in the room. Mm-hmm. Okay? And that's how me and Julian met, because I was there live and he was at in the Zoom call.
Yeah.
And we were talking about ethnicities and how you can use that to connect with people.
Yeah.
So I raised my hand and I said, Garrett, I'm Latin, I'm half black, half white. I was raised Catholic. My wife is Jewish. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, don't be greedy, bro.
Wow. Okay. Sure.
He goes, you can connect with a lot of different people.
Sure. Sure.
And what I love about what you are doing is that room was full of white men.
Yeah.
And these white men are evolving and getting better to help the future generation.
Yep.
You are doing that for the Black community.
Exactly.
There's not many men, not many Black men doing this for the Black community, looking out for the future generation, wanting them to have a blueprint, a guide, a navigation on how to go through life and how to read the scripture and how to be a good man.
Yep.
So I love that. It's so required. It's so necessary, especially in the Black community. So power to you for having the vision, the clarity, the fortitude to take on this challenge and really be a voice and a presence where there isn't one.
Right. Thank you.
It's incredible.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It really, really is, because the Black community is the one that needs it the most, unfortunately. And there are so many men who are just concerned about getting theirs.
Yeah.
They're just worried about me and not really passing on the knowledge that they obtained and gained to get to where they are, to help the ones coming behind them.
You know, to that point, it's about just trying to get mine and to hold on to mine. The Bible doesn't tell us to hold on to what we gain. You know, the Bible tells us you gain something, you give. You know, you receive and you give. And you know, I had a problem myself, is that I never wanted to receive. I always wanted to give. Well, little did I understand is that, okay, I can't give any more than if I don't receive something in as well too.
If your cup is empty, you got nothing else to give.
Exactly. And then I was wondering, why is things not happening for me? What's going on here? You know? And I had to learn that it's okay to receive, but it's as well too, I can't be selfish, just hoard it, because if I'm hoarding it, what good's it going to do?
Correct.
God tells us to go and share the word with people. Go and, use your talents that I've given you to help others be better as well too. And so once I, really clued into that many years ago, is that I can open my hands now, receive it in. I can take some of it and keep it, but as well too, I can go give some of it away also. And it's okay to do that.
Amen.
It's okay to do that.
If you met someone that they're curious about the Bible, okay? What verse would you suggest that person read to open up the door to allow them to go back to it?
So one of the ones, I would just tell them Psalms 23, verse 1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Another one is just Joshua 1:9 too. And I'll just kind of paraphrase, is that, look, I didn't bring you this far to pretty much to leave you behind. I'm here to help you, so to speak, is what it's saying there. But more than anything else is that if I come into a person like that, I got to meet you where you're at. And just try to understand you. What is your, I'm just going to say issues. Just keep it real. What's your issues? What's your problem with this? Or where are you having hang up about this? What's going on? How are you feeling? Where are you at? And just be truthful and honest with the individual and just start with that.
What is your favorite verse of the Bible?
That's Psalms 23.
That one, yeah?
Yeah. That, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Just because that tells me everything that I need to know right there. And if you look at a shepherd is someone that guides. He's, if we look at it as a shepherd and sheep, he's guiding the sheep. He's doing this, making sure that they're going down the right path. He's providing for them. It's okay to be a sheep. We've heard people say, well, don't be a sheep and just follow. Well, no, you have to be a sheep if you're going to follow the Lord. If you allow him to be your leader, if you allow him to be your shepherd, if you allow him to take control and guide you the way that you need to go. And it's okay to be a sheep in that instance. And because the thing is that as soon as one sheep goes off, the shepherd would leave the 99 of 100 there to go find that one. And once that one comes back together, everybody rejoices and we go on back down the line. So for me is that I just know God would give me everything that I need. He will protect me. He will prepare a table in the presence of my enemies. He would lead me beside the still waters.
Hold on.
Okay.
He will prepare a table
in the presence of my enemies.
Wow.
Yeah. When you get a chance, go read Psalms 23. I think it's the first 5 verses of it or so.
I will.
And just check that out. And in there is he prepares it. He will prepare us a table in the presence of my enemies. So it's not my battle to go fight. I'll allow God to go fight that for me. And he will guide and protect me and lead me and guide me in the way that I need to go all the time.
Why do you think we fight and struggle with this idea of submission and being a sheep?
Because of what we've been taught. Because you've probably heard yourself, hey, don't be a sheep.
Of course.
Be a leader, not a follower.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I hear that.
Be a goat, not a sheep.
Yeah, something along the lines like that, and stuff like that. But you need to really look at what that's really saying, because if I'm gonna put God first in my life, I can't be a leader then, and because I gotta allow Him to lead me, and then from that, yeah, I can go lead others, but I gotta go follow. A sheep follows. I'm following the Lord at this point, and I gotta allow Him to guide me. I got to trust that He's going to put me in the right position. I got to trust that He's going to put the right people in my life as well too. I got to trust that He's going to protect me from those things that I think that I want, but He knows, no, you don't need to go there. I'm not going to give you this opportunity at this particular work, because I know 6 months down the line, that job is going to go bankrupt and you're going to be out, whereas I'm going to put you over here instead into this position, the one that you're not looking at, even though in your heart that is the position for me. That's my dream job. It has all these different things like this. I'll be able to excel. No. That's why I said, I'm not going to put you there. I'm going to put you over here because I need you to do this work over here for me instead.
Remember the story I was telling you earlier about my car getting flooded?
Yeah.
There's a backstory to that, where my old videographer before Max, him and I were gonna go into a studio together, half and half, before I got this place. We looked at a few warehouses in North Miami that we're gonna rent and go half and build out this crazy studio. We both agreed. We found this place. We spoke to the realtor. We were gonna give it 2 weeks to put some money together and put the down payment. 3 weeks passed, and he comes to me and told me that he put the down payment for it by himself and signed the lease without telling me. And the day that my car was flooded, I was on my way to go see him before he told me that information.
Sure.
So I was sure that I was going to go be partners with him. We were going to go half and half and do this crazy studio and do all this stuff. My car getting flooded turned everything around, because it made me sit there for 4.5 hours and really reevaluate everything. Where I got flooded was a block away from where the studio is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there, man, I don't want to drive through here every day. That's how it began, right? Yeah. Like, if this happened, I don't want to be in this area. Anyway, long story short, that led me to getting this studio and me really flourishing in this studio. And his studio is still not open yet.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And he got in all September. So to your point, right? Sometimes God will deviate the path for us
Yep.
when we really want to go that way, but he knows better. And if we just listen and go the way he wants us to go, we'll avoid so much misery and so much headache.
That's all it is. That's it, Leo. I mean, you couldn't have put that any better, because once you commit and you put God first in everything that you do, and you allow him to lead and guide,
Yes.
especially in the times when you can't see and you don't know and you're not sure, but you just leap out, you just step out on that step of faith at that point and allow him to guide you, it makes life so much easier. But we always need to have that assurance. We got to see it. We know that we know best. I see all these things that are there. They're all lined up for me. Well, that's what you have said. That's what they have said. But what has God said about that? And that's the difference in what it is. Because again, I can't say this, I don't know how many times over and over again. You let him lead, you will be successful. Let God lead, you will get everything that you need and be as successful as you can possibly be.
There's this video online of a base jumper. These guys with these wingsuits that jump off of mountains one of those. So he's on top of a mountain on a ledge about to jump, okay? And all you see is clouds. It's fogged up. You can't see anything. Like, you really have no clue where you're jumping into. It's just fog. And then he jumps.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And then he goes through, 30 feet of cloud. And then it opens up
This guy's part.
to this beautiful, beautiful world, this beautiful terrain.
Yep.
And you couldn't see, but he had all the room underneath the cloud to jump safely. And he took that leap of faith.
Sure.
And it paid off for him.
Yep.
That's really how I see having faith and trusting God.
Yep. Because
We can't see it.
when you can't see that next step, but if you have the belief that God's going to take care of you,
And you jump,
yep.
he'll catch you.
The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. Let me just take that step of that leap of faith, and he's going to provide for me like I need. Every time.
Every time. Terry, it's been incredible.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Terry.
This is, I love doing this stuff, and like I said, God put you in my life for a reason, so to help get this message out. And I appreciate you allow me to be able to come on your podcast and do this.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a favor.
Yep.
Look at that camera right there.
Okay.
Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me at freedomtoreign.com. There you can see my coaching services that I provide there as well too. Soon I'll be having a link up online to where you can come and join our Wednesday classes that we have every Wednesday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. A group of men getting together, holding space for one another, and just be able to share and be able to allow you to be able to give, to be able to get some insight on some things, but learn a little bit about the Lord as well too, and understand what He has in store for you as well. So freedomtoreign.com or terryw@freedomtoreign.com if you need to send me an email as well.
Great. Tell them also, please, your social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, your whatever you got, LinkedIn, YouTube.
I do have LinkedIn. So, I don't even know what it is.
It's your name. I think it's just your name, at Terry Williams. Something like that.
So at Terry Williams, that's the LinkedIn. Social media, I don't even have that set up yet. So
We're going to do all that.
Yeah, so we'll have that set up today. So I don't know what the name's going to be on that. But
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, but we'll get that set up. So edit this out.
I got 100%. Okay. 100%.
Okay.
All right, one more thing I need from you.
Yes, sir.
Wait, let me close the podcast out. Guys, that was an incredible, powerful message that Terry delivered. Heartfelt, truthful, and in the now. If you are someone that you are lost, trying to navigate this world, looking for a group of men to rely on, looking for a place where you can be vulnerable and be yourself, join Terry's group. An incredible leader, amazing coach that will help you find your way and your path to God. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you guys next time.